Hey, hola, 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 happy Sunday. What is today, honey? The 13th?
Yeah.
April 13th, 2025. Welcome to my podcast. Hey, anybody signing on? Thank you. I Dream of Jeannie. What's up? Titi Billy. Love you for coming on. I wanted to take an opportunity to say I'm back. I had to take a little time off to take care of myself. The last time I had attempted to do a podcast was probably about 2-3 years ago, babe. At least 2-3 years ago, and I actually had a pretty successful run of shows. We did 18 of them. I think we had 18 episodes, and the name of the show at that time was called Hey Chicago! Chicago, my favorite city after New York and Newark. But this is what happens. You know what's funny? A couple of months ago, maybe last year, he was like, you know what, babe, why don't you come to the office? Because my man has a very successful marketing company business. And he says, let me come to the office and, maybe I'll teach you and you can help me out here in the office. Eso duró como yo creo que un día y medio, maybe 1 day and a half. Because I got to the point of, I'll tell you when you're my boss, So it wasn't going to work. So anyway, that's what he's telling me now. I got to look at the camera here. It's just going to take a little bit of reorientation, because I have been away from this type of setup. And I'm looking forward to using this setup as an opportunity to have some meaningful conversations, have some dialogue with the 100,000+ fans that I have on TikTok and the numbers that are growing on Instagram. I'm an old fogey, but I am more than willing to learn how it's done. And I'm excited about having this opportunity to have these dialogues. I don't want it to be a monologue. I really, really hope people will join on and join in and let people know that, I'm here and I'm back and I'm here. So the new show is going to be called Boricua Baby Boom Boom. And the reason I chose that name is because it is something that is near and dear to my heart. It is the name of my next theatrical production. It's not actually a stand-up special as much as a 90-minute experience talking about Generation Jones, which are the youngest baby boomers. And I wanted anybody who heard the name of the show to know that it was going to be a Boricua voice, Boricua perspective, Latina, first generation here. My parents came here, firstborn. So I thought it was important to bring that element of my experience to the show as well as the podcast. Is there any way we can show that real quickly? No, okay. So on my chalkboard in my office, I do have my entire show sketched out, so you can see what a 90-minute set list looks like. Those of you who are comedians who know what a set list is, you know that we set up our bits, right? We don't write the bit out exactly, but we know more or less what's the next one, and how do they segue. So I basically have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 columns on a big chalkboard. And there's got to be, 200 or 300 little notes about the bits. So that's why it's called Boricua Baby Boom Boom. I am trying to promote my show, which will be a full theatrical production coming to performing arts centers across the country. Hopefully very soon, hopefully in the fall. Gotta rehearse, gotta get ready. So I wanted to take this opportunity to reboot my podcast, because I did feel like I had some really great conversations with people. I hadn't yet brought guests in, but that is the goal now, to try to have guests and have another perspective, not just mine, but be able to have a dialogue about the things that people have on their heads. I decided to do this one this week, and to, first of all, let me just say that I'm glad to be back. I did mention that I had gotten sick. That was part of the reason why I had to take a break from everything. My illness was breast cancer. I am very happy to say that, I am successful in the sense of the cancer's been taken out. I've had reconstruction. I'm in a much better place. And I'm finally, after the last surgery was in March of 2024, I can say it's taken a full year to actually feel like myself again. It was a very private and very personal and very scary battle. So I think that was part of the reason why I was reluctant to share it, because I wasn't even really able to process it myself before I was even able to process it with anybody else. So I will be having episodes that are going to be dedicated, and hopefully we'll get other women who have experienced it, and men get breast cancer as well. And we'll have those conversations in the future. But I am so thrilled, representing for Puerto Rico as always. I figured I would wear red to be bold, to show that I am back. Hi, honey. My producer's in the other room. I love him so much. Alex is just amazing. So I wanted to take this opportunity. We're going to keep it under an hour to talk about something that I had that happened to me this week. And I want to get people who are grandparents, who are involved with their families, who believe themselves to be good grandparents, to weigh in on this with me, because I had a very difficult experience this week that has made me make a very, very difficult choice in my life that I never in a million years thought that I would be making. And that is that I have opted to pull myself away from 2 of my grandchildren. I don't want to get into the specifics of it, but I cannot be around them because of what happened this week. Unfortunately, I'm in a very contentious situation. Contentious, I think that was what I meant to say, because of all the hate that I'm getting from that side. But, with regard to these 2 particular grandchildren, it's become very, very difficult to feel safe around them, because their parent, I don't want to go into the specifics about whether it's a mother or a father, because then people are going to do the math and go, oh, you know what, take away the one, carry the 2, and this, that, or the other, and I don't really want that drama. But that particular parent has decided to attack me, to malign me, to under oath in family court say some of the most horribly wrong and really just slanderous, defamatory lies about who I have been as a grandma. So that's why I wanted to have a conversation today, if we could, of anybody else who might be having a similar situation, or know someone who's going through a similar situation, where you have to actually be worried that if you bring this grandchild to your house and anything happens to that kid is going to run back, because that's how they've been trained, because obviously that parent doesn't think that they're safe with you, or maybe has their own daddy issues, abandonment issues. Maybe they were molested as a child, and so feels that they have to hold on super, super tight to those children and keep them even from their loving grandmother. Now, that's a handful. I said a mouthful, but that's basically the crux of it. That after what happened, I had to go to family court. I was fighting for unsupervised visitation. I wanted to have the grandchildren here, because they've always been here. For at least 10 years, I have opened up my home, and it's not even an opening up. They are my family. So it was just natural for me to bring them into my home, to take care of them. I have been 1,000% supportive of the family, supporting financially, supporting emotionally, supporting spiritually, being the grandmother that I think everybody would hope for in their family, that, is willing to give up time. I'm not that grandma that's going to give it all up, because I know I've seen a lot of grandparents that are like, whoa, you know what? I'm not going to be babysitting. This is not going to be every weekend. This is not going to be every day. I need to have my life. I'm looking forward to this time in my life. I've worked for this life. And no, you're not going to drop the kids off all the time. I'm not that grandparent, but I almost never say no. But I am the grandparent that when they come here, it's, playtime, it's, teaching them things, it's reading to them, it's I chase my grandkids around constantly. That's the big thing. Grandma, Gigi, that's what they call me. Gigi, come chase me. And here I am, my old ass, just falling on the rug and getting hurt. But I always want to have a great time with my grandchildren, and I want them to feel like coming to grandma's is the best time. So that said, in a lot of ways, because there was this awful breakup in that relationship that got me these 2 children, my house, I felt, my home, I believed it with all my heart, was the most stable sanctuary for the children. because their home had become contentious, had become argumentative. There was constant fighting. There was constant yelling, belittling one another, calling each other names. And I feel like when they came here, it was a safe place. They were able to feel loved and not have any of that, you know. My house is always clean. My house is always kept. I always very organized. The children knew they had little boxes, and not boxes, ottomans for their toys. And so they knew that maybe it was a little bit more structured and a little bit more like maybe, I don't know, I want to say high strung, but compared to how it was before, like I was fairly confident that I was doing good for those children. I was making them feel safe, loved, away from all of that other drama. That's not to say that they don't love their parents. Of course they do, and I want them to. And not once did I speak ill of that parent. Not once. It was always constant. Say hi, tell them I'm thinking about them, whatever, to try to keep the peace. From the beginning, there was always this protectionism, keeping those children tight to that chest. It was about, again, maybe issues in that childhood and issues with trust of anybody else being around their children. And so I want to find out if there's anyone out there that has been in a similar situation where no matter what they did, no matter how much financial support, no matter how safe the home was, no matter what your background was. Anybody who knows me knows I put in 40 years as a speech therapist working in the schools with special needs children. I've worked in Brooklyn. I started in Brooklyn. I've worked in Manhattan. I spent 20 years almost in the Bronx and then 10 years in Newark. And I never, not once, had incident with any parent saying that I was abusive, that I did not put the children's needs first. I have an impeccable record as a speech pathologist in the schools. And this parent went into court, swore an oath to tell the truth, and then managed to lie, pura mentira, putting me in the trash, dogging me. I mean, saying every possibly harmful thing that they could with a judge who was under investigation, I found out afterwards, for maybe not handling cases the way that he or she should. I'm not naming names, okay? But it was a horrible experience. I was completely stunned at how family court failed me. When I was so happy to hear that family court in New Jersey is one of the few courts in the entire country. New Jersey does grant grandparents' rights. Not every state does, but New Jersey does. So I was so thrilled thinking, you know what, I got a shot. Let me go in, let me see what's happening here and see what I can, I wanted to have unsupervised visitation with my grandchildren. And I ended up having to reluctantly, under duress, raise my hand and say, yes, I'll agree to it. But then when I walked out, it took me about a good 24 hours to understand, no, that was exactly what I didn't want, right? But now my eyes are open. Now I see what I'm up against. So in a way, it was a good experience because now I know what I'm really dealing with. That hearing allowed me to see this parent shockingly just misrepresent what the last 10 years have been with that parent's child in my care. And I was maligned and brutalized in a way that I have never experienced in my life. And I didn't, and here's the great part. I had only had 1 minute that got cut off immediately. Got cut off. I wasn't able to finish my statement. I submitted 15 pieces of evidentiary documents. And after this person maligned me, under oath, told lies that were unchecked by the judge, that person had no obligation to show any evidence for what she was saying. I kind of went, do I get an opportunity to respond to all of that? And the judge literally said to me, tread lightly. Okay? Because if that parent decides that they don't want to even deal with you, then they don't have to deal with you. And I was so intimidated. And baby boomers, I hear it over and over and over again. Honey, are we waving to people? Is that something that we do?
Yeah, you do whatever you want.
Okay, so I could just start waving? I don't want to wave. I want to wave. I don't want to just be talking for hours. I want people to talk back. Hi, if I don't wave, it's not because I didn't want to wave. I'll just, so anyway, that in a nutshell is essentially what I'm going through right now. So I made a decision, difficult, but yet somehow very easy, to say I love them, but I love me way more. And I don't think that's narcissist, because I've worked a long time at helping and being there, and I'm the type of grandparent that leased cars in my name so that family had a way to get around. So that parent used that car that I took out in my name. Nothing her family ever did for her. That parent got the benefit of my husband, Alex, sending dinner once a week, so to alleviate that single parent situation that a lot of people find themselves in. We've bought untold amounts of clothing, boots, shoes, go-karts for moving up, whatever the things are that children need that maybe that parent wasn't able to provide. We stepped in for that. So the car leases, I leased the first car was in my name. The second car I had to co-sign. So for almost 7 years, my neck was on the chopping block. If there were any problems with those payments, I would have been responsible for them. And without even batting an eyelash, I went ahead and did it for them. So there was that. Helped with school lunches. There was an arrear of $900 in school lunches. That's responsible parenting, millennials? No, it's not. So what happens? Hey, baby boomer, can you help us out? And that's what we do. And somehow we're still blamed for how people are living nowadays, as if I was running the economy, as if I had anything to do with it. The one thing I will tell you is, like I said, I know I was a good mother. So this nonsense of blaming baby boomers and taking it to this level of making us the problem, making us evil, making us the reason why you can't feel safe with your kids away from you, like there's a little bit of psychosis in there. And so I just want to see if anybody has heard about an experience like this, if anybody has been through something like this. Unfortunately, when I first got accused of being a danger to my children, yo no soy ninguna santa. I said things, and you know what they say, hurt people hurt people? That's what it boiled down to. But did I apologize? Yes. I took I bent the knee, and I said, you know what? I don't want this drama in my family. I've never wanted this drama in my family. I'm willing to own what I did. Did I get that back? No. What I got was being brutally defamed in court, to the point where I was told that the school has been informed that I'm a danger to the children. So that person is actually really, really lucky that I haven't gotten an attorney to go after defamation. But again, yo no soy rencorosa. That person is the queen, king. Again, I'm not saying, is the emperoress of vindictiveness and spite. I have never seen anything like it. Cannot let shit go. And like I said, everybody's got to go down. That person is miserable. That person is unhappy. So everybody has to be unhappy and miserable. Yeah, thank you, sweet R01. Yeah, people are mean. Family can be really, really mean. Thank you, because I tell you, I was really stunned when all of this happened. But like when I look back on all of it, when I look back on our history and how many times there was this protectionism, even with the first child. This is the second child who's just turning 3. So I used to feel that even back then. So there was never a feeling of trust between us. And it happens, right? I'm not exactly sure what I did to make it happen, because like I said, from the beginning, anybody who knows me knows my history. I do not hit. I never hit my kids like, how I got hit. Let's talk about that. Who remembers how we used to get hit? Back in the day, cocotazos, galletazos, what were the other ones? Soplones, the ear with the damn nail in the ear. The last time I got hit, I was 16 years old. And if it hadn't been a summertime situation and I had been in school, Now that was like 70 something. Yeah, my dad probably would have gotten arrested. But back in the day, it was different. Back in the day, there wasn't this gentle parenting where you have to listen to a child's feelings. And I get all that. I understand all that. But if you bite, if you hurt another child, I'm old school. I feel like, you know what, if I do this, so that you see, it's not nice to have somebody put their hands on you, is it? And literally, mi gente, mi público, mis queridos aficionados, eso fue todo lo que yo hice. No muerda tu hermano. And because of that type of pow pow, I was brutalized in court. Like an offensive, horrible, abusive child abuser by this parent. And the judge said, you need to be supervised. Here is my judgment, black or white. Do you agree or not? And I should have said, no, I don't. Because I'm not going to be maligned like this in court. But that judge probably would have just shut my mic off. Because that's how awful that experience is. I was so disappointed with family court in New Jersey. You know, this could be a cultural thing. Maybe some people don't understand what that is. That's called pao pao. And pao pao does not make you an abuser. Pao pao does not make you a horrible grandmother that is a danger to their children. Okay? Some people don't even feel it's corporal punishment. Now, I know people that believe that, and I think it's true. If you stand a child in a corner, facing the corner, that's a form of corporal punishment because it's demeaning, it's humiliating. I get all that. But then you have to sort of like have a magic bag of tricks, right? You have to pull one thing out. That doesn't seem to work. You pull another thing out. But when you see some child, I think putting their hands on another child, the lesson should be, eso no se hace. Okay, you're not going to like it if somebody puts their hands on you. So you're not going to be allowed to put your hands on someone else. And about raising your voice. Well, if a child is doing something that is destructive, the first time, deja eso. Deja eso. Okay, so you did yell, but was it like you yelled constantly? Or are you yelling so that it's relative to what is going on? All right? Now, the reason why I ended up probably yelling more than I should have is, again, what are you teaching this child in the home in terms of limits, in terms of boundaries, okay? Very unorganized home, very chaotic home. So I'm sorry if I have structure, if I'm someone who applies structure in my home and I have sort of like a series of consequences for these behaviors, and you got to clean up after yourself. Where you played with those toys, put them away. Wow. Oh my God, that's really a danger to the children, that I'm asking the children to be responsible for themselves. Okay? Because again, if your home is a mess, that doesn't mean my home has to be a mess. And I didn't even get a chance to say any of that in the courtroom because that wasn't my purpose there. I didn't go into malign. Old school was the best. Thank you for saying that, oh Rod Bronx. I appreciate that, Papa. I really do, because it just kills me that I keep hearing it over and over again. Oh, you know, you're not, thank you so much. Oh, I look beautiful. Thank you, Arlene. I need to hear that. Because I tell you, my ego, you know, I got crushed this week, man. I cried for days. I've been crying for days, wondering how do I handle this. But you know, Alex and I had a long conversation. I woke up, that happened on Wednesday. Had a tough time sleeping. And then Thursday morning, I woke up and after crying and doing all of that, I said, you know, I made a decision. I can't live with that judgment. I can't live with any judgment that says that I need to be supervised. That's never going to happen. Not going to happen. And if that parent truly, really feels that I'm a danger to their child, they're never going to stop. And because that parent is so spiteful and so bitter about the breakup, if she's seeing me with a target right here, I'm not risking it. I'm not willing to risk it. Because that could involve arrest, jail time, my reputation, my standing in the community, even what I'm doing here. But don't. My mother-in-law used to work with you. She put me onto you. Thank you so much. I loved Kennedy. Kennedy Child Study Center was where I worked as a speech pathologist with EI, early intervention, students. I mean, these were babies. These were 2.5 and 3-year-old babies. I was there 15 years, not one complaint, not one from a parent. 8 years with the Board of Education in Brooklyn, not one complaint from a parent. Okay? 19 altogether in the Bronx, and then 10 more years in Newark. Not one complaint from a parent. Thank you. I really appreciate that, Catherine. I really appreciate that. And this person in court said, oh, and her saying that she's a speech therapist, she should be ashamed of herself. She should be embarrassed to call herself that with the way she abuses children. And I had to sit there and listen to that person say that horrible thing about me. And because I went, the judge admonishes me. Oh, Ms. Contreras, I can't have you making those faces in response to anything that's being said. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Meanwhile, that person made a whole bunch of faces during the 1 to 2 minutes I was allowed to speak. And again, I was told, tread lightly. Now that tread lightly is everything that I need to know that there's a bias against me. And I'm not willing to risk my livelihood, my reputation, my freedom. You think I feel like getting arrested over some stupid shit that some person is going to make up about me because she is angry about what happened with somebody in my family? So it didn't work out. So you got played. That person got tired of you. That's not my fault. Maybe y'all should have worked it out when you were together. But don't you remember me teaching salsa? I tried to teach salsa to you. I tried to teach you how to knit. I tried to teach you how to do ASL. If you sign it all, it's because I signed. So I did try to treat you like somebody that I cared for in my family. But none of that matters because you're pissed at that member of my family that played you. See, now I'm pissed because I never would have said any of this. But all gloves are off now. You're going to malign me in public like that? Prepárate. Okay? I'm not covering for anybody else anymore. I know my Alex is telling me, calm down, mommy, calm down. Thank you. I appreciate that, Catherine. Nowadays, parents don't teach their kids to respect their grandparents anymore and appreciate them. Thank you. That's why I'm saying I know this is not something that is just relative to me. I have seen so much content on social media. Parents, grandmas crying their eyes out because they can't see their children. Because if they give their kid a piece of candy, a piece of un cantito de dulce, if they let them watch certain shows, if they let them watch TV, if this, all these different stipulations, can't we just be grandmas? Can't we just have fun with our grandkids? We did it before. We raised your monkey asses. Like, why are you acting like we don't know how to treat grandchildren? Grandchildren need to be loved. They need to be guided. They need to be nurtured, right? The parents are the ones that are responsible for that. That's not my job. I did it already. That's your job. Grandmas are supposed to have fun with their grandkids. Grandmas should be the ones that are doing like the chasing, and you're too tired to do it. I'll do it. I'll read to them. I don't know that anybody's reading to my grandchildren, to all of them. I know a lot of them are in wonderful situations, but these particular grandchildren, I don't know that they're getting that input. I just don't. And it breaks my heart. But I've always been, in my family, I talk about it in my comedy, right? That I sort of been like the family fixer. I've always been the fixer. Always been the one that has to try to solve problems and make phone calls. My younger brother, my younger sister are hearing impaired. So I grew up with that attitude of, I gotta stand in. I've always been an advocate, one way or the other. And then I went through the schools. You have to do advocacy for your students. Then my parents got older. I had to step in for them, making phone calls, fighting for services. My sister Bibi and I, we were like really, really on top of stuff like that. And so, what, honey? Okay. So, I've always been that type of person, like a fixer. So, maybe I was, I don't think I was doing anything that I could say was too much. What I did do too much was support this way. I'm seeing it now because that meant nothing. Supporting financially meant nothing. Being there when you needed somebody to pick up and drop off and whatever, that meant nothing. It meant nothing. It was all about ego It was all about feelings. It was all about this, I believe, some of it, a lot of it, is this intergenerational issue of boomers are horrible. Okay, boomer. Like that type of stuff is destructive. That's not the reason why your kids, you know, it's the social media. It's the games. It's the stuff. When do you see kids playing in the street anymore? It's how they're getting raised. We're not doing that, guys. That's not what we're doing. If it was up to me, I'd let my kids go out and play out like we used to back in the day. Somebody just posted something recently. They showed an alley. They said, you know how much fun we used to have in an alley like this when we were kids? And I know it's different now, but the point is, that's not anything we created. Boomers didn't, well, boomers are responsible for the web, and sorry, but yeah, we did create all of that. But it's your control over your children and the access to phones and the access to apps and all this stuff that is influencing how children are being raised. That's the bigger issue. We're sitting here going, what the fuck did we do? Am I wrong, honey? What did we do? What did I do? All we've ever done is just try to be loving grandparents. I do a joke now where I talk about how the best part of being a grandma is I can have that revenge. So those of you who know that, I do a joke about putting everything in my bra. And then I say I go to the doctor, and the doctor says I can't, you know, give you a breast exam because you have 2 quarters stuck to the side of your breast. I love that joke. That's an old joke. But now I've added on to that because I go, the best part of being a grandparent is the revenge. So like my daughter will come over with her daughter, and my granddaughter will be like, can I have some candy? No. And my daughter walks away, and I'm like, psst, and I pull a lollipop. Yes, I'm a prop comic. I don't care. I pull lollipop out and I go, psst. Now I've never tell my granddaughter, fuck her, to say that to my daughter. It's a joke. But the idea of the joke is, can we just have a little bit of fun? How often do we see our grandkids that I can't give her a stick of gum? Now, my daughter doesn't have those hang-ups, thank goodness. She knows I love her daughter. I just posted something today where I spent an entire day I think 2 Sundays ago, or last Sunday maybe, where I was teaching her, and I've taught her how to crochet. She knows how to play chess. She plays backgammon. She plays spades. I spent so much time with her. And I taught her how to sew. I literally showed her, because it's different. It's different. When my daughter was a baby, I was scared. I was scared of her getting hurt. I treated my kids like they were so fragile. And I was that helicopter mom, I'll admit it. But now with my grandkids, I feel like, you know what? They're pretty tough. They're pretty strong. And I showed her how to run it on the machine and how to create a seam. And that girl went right into it. And she got it. And I was also able to teach one of my grandsons. He also did something. He made a little pillow for the back of his car, which is amazing. So I enjoy being around the grandkids. I love that time. But I'll be honest with you. I'm glad when they go. I did this already. I don't want to have to keep doing it. So I do think that it is a general. My family takes advantage of me for years. Jaco Bear Catherine. See what I mean? And it's affecting my marriage, everything. So I had to limit my time with them and miss me so that they appreciate me more. Jaco Bear. There's someone, a lovely, lovely, lovely woman who as a grandmother was being taken advantage of. Now, do they do it because they love you, mamita? They do it because they trust you. They know that you will be good with the kids. And sometimes that's all they have. Shall we even talk about childcare now? How expensive it is? You know, my daughter's upstate. They spend, I think, $18,000 on childcare. So grandparents are important. If you can do that for your grandkids, that's a beautiful thing. I still have a lot of things that I want to do, you know, as I'm entering my mature years. I use the word mature lately. There's still a lot of things I want to do. I obviously have my business in Puerto Rico with the Airbnbs, and thank you for anybody that has contacted us through TikTok and social media. We appreciate it, and we have gotten such great feedback. So I have that, and then we're going to be starting up a new business as well. Like I said, I have this show that I'm putting up, and I'm still performing. So it's hard for me to commit to anything on a regular basis because I do travel and I have other responsibilities. I'm not that grandma that's completely retired. I retired from the speech part of it, but I'm still very active, and I will stay this way. I will stay this way into my 90s. I know that about me. You know, until el cuerpito me dice, ya hora, you know, but up to now, again, I'm feeling great. I just started a workout with the Ladder program. I don't know if anybody has seen it on TikTok. It is fantastic. Honestly, I only paid like $179 for the year, which is way cheaper than anything you're going to spend. And if you're disciplined, you can follow the workouts with them, and they pick out, like you can get, I wanted this trainer, Dr. Robin. I love her. And I always watch her videos. I said, you know what, I'm gonna try this. So I set up my gym. Alex and I put the work in. We set the gym up. Now we really have a basement gym, a home gym. And we're gonna buy some other stuff as well. And I have this workout program. So I'm feeling really, really good about that. Feeling fit again, feeling like myself again. So I am that active grandma. And I think we're the majority of grandmas in their 60s that are just going, no, we're not gonna do this. You're not gonna tell me that I have to act a certain way because you think that's what old people are supposed to look like. And I say that on stage. You know what really sucks? Being the same age as old people, because I don't feel that way. Yo no estoy vieja, yo estoy juicy. So, you know, it's been a really, really difficult week for me. But once I made that decision of just stopping it and saying to the court, you know what? Keep your judgment. Let's go back in. I'm going to file an appeal. I've already filed a complaint against the judge, who, by the way, there's a petition right now in Bergen County to get that person impeached. So there is a history here, so this is the other thing I wanted to tell anybody. If you are going into, thank you so much, dear Mar. I really appreciate that, amor. I really, really love my fans. I'm sorry that I have just been vaga about this type of stuff. I promise I'm going to be more visible, and I'm going to be trying to bring a lot more relatable content. And I promise that I'm going to be bringing guests on. I do have some really, really interesting people that I work with and that I've been around for years, and invite new people as well. But what I was going to tell you is, if you are going into a family court situation, one of the things that you should think about doing is looking up the judge before you go in. That was a big mistake that we made. I was just assuming that because they give grandparent rights in New Jersey that they were going to be fair to the grandparents. It would have made sense to be unbiased, impartial, hear both sides, where one person has no evidence and the other one has 15 documents. Maybe we need to ask that other person for proof of the horrible things that were said about me. And about Alex, too. Was called my boyfriend, even though that person knows that we got married in Bali in 17. Like, cut it out. Like, stop with the nonsense already. Grow up. That's what it feels like. Just immaturity, rencorosa, spite, hate. And as much as it's hurt me, guess who hurts the most? Those grandchildren. Because now they're not going to have access to me. I'm not interested. I love them. I will miss them. But until I know that they are in a better place, or I don't have, I want to visit them on my child's time, not on my time. That kid falls, busts a leg or something like that, it's not on my visitation. It's on their parent. I'm not stupid. Mama didn't raise no dummies. And that judgment was a real slap in the face, and I should have never agreed to it. So do your diligence before you go in. Check the judge. The judge's history will be there. You'll be able to see what is going on, if this is a judge that is fair and impartial, or if, like in my case, which I should have known before going in, has multiple lawsuits and complaints, and again, an effort to impeach. So I walked into the hornet's nest, and there's even some suggestion that this parent that I'm talking about may have some contacts with high-end lawyers in the system because of where that person works. So there's always the possibility that there was some behind the deal. Listen, in this case, could you do that? Could you do this? I can't prove it. I don't know. But that's what I've heard. Gossip is real. Gossip is very real. So, yeah, that's where we are. That's where I am. I am still stunned by all of it. I'm still shocked by all of it. And I will say, I want to keep talking about this. I do want to keep talking about these intergenerational issues, because a couple of weeks ago I saw a life coach and she was terrible. I mean, she was just going on and on. Thank you, Mamita. I really appreciate that. Catherine, you're the best. And you're right. Do your research. I feel like I've aged over this, but you know me, honey. I will do my workout and I'll take care of myself. I'll be fine. But this intergenerational situation, I feel, this particular life coach, I'm a 15-year, blah, 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 blah. And my response was, what's your training? Did you take some credits in psychology? Do you have any background in family dynamics? Because you seem to be talking a lot of baba. And all she was doing was attacking boomers. All she was doing was attacking boomers. You're a life coach, but you're maligning one half of a relationship so that you can co-sign everything that the other half of the relationship is claiming. That's not good therapy. That's not good life coaching. Good life coaching should be mending, healing, bringing people together. And all this coach was doing, and I was stunned and like sarcastic. If you're between the ages of if you were born between 1946 and 1964, like she said it like, ew, condescending. Meanwhile, you look like a baby boomer, so I don't know what you're talking about, Miss Gen X, okay? And she was like, just know that you can't keep doing this to these millennials. And guess what? She gets $1,500, I think, a session. You think she's really being impartial? Or is she getting that money from people that are young, that are trying to get answers? And I get it. There are some terrible relationships between parents and children. I get that. But I was so thankful for the every other comment, or the every fifth comment. My parents were awesome, and I love and respect them. I love the way they raised me. And I know for a fact that my kids could say that. It's not perfect, but for the most part, right? So that's a big issue now, that we have these life coaches that are sort of preying on this dissension, these problems between the generations. Do they exist? Of course they call. That's why it's called generation gap. But I'm fascinated with this whole generation concept, because obviously I'm writing a show about it, right? I'm fascinated because if you look at the generations, you see patterns. And personally, I think baby boomers are the baddest generation. I'm sorry. We are the last generation that did better than our parents. It's never going to happen again because of the dynamics of our economy. And I'm talking about the American, obviously the American baby boomers. So you have the baby boomers, and then you have the younger baby boomers, because older baby boomers go up to 79. But the oldest baby boomers, I believe this year will be 71. I'm sorry, the oldest generation Jones. That's my generation. My generation is the one that goes from 46 to 64. And we are even better than our older ones. Sorry guys, if you're 71 and over, you've certainly accomplished a lot. But our generation is the one that has invented, like, you know, obviously the Bezos and the Jobs and, you know, Viagra. There's a lot of stuff that we've invented and we've created. So I do believe that we're a generation that is going to be historically extremely significant. And I understand what people go, but wait a second, you guys got all the breaks. You guys got all the housing. You guys got all the great jobs. That's true. My generation, the older part of it, are the ones that fought. And the ones and the silent generation towards the end. They're the ones that fought for unions and for 8-hour work days. Don't forget that those things weren't here. Those things were not here in the United States. People fought for that. And so it was the older people in that generation that made it easier, in a sense, and in a lot of senses, for the younger generations. But then what happened was, when capitalists started to see how much they had to pay with unions, how much they had to pay with pensions, how much they had to pay with sick pay and unemployment, they didn't want to keep giving up any more of their profits. So little by little, they started tearing it all apart and shipping jobs out. That's why when people are like, oh, the U.S. has been victimized. No, we haven't. We sent all those factories, all those jobs, and all those jobs overseas because we didn't want to pay for good paying jobs that people needed. And then, of course, we see what's happening now with housing. corporate landlords, all of it. Boomers may have done it, but it was boomer capitalists who did it. I'm not a boomer capitalist, so don't blame me. Don't blame the whole generation en masse for something that a small group, a small class of people have done to this next generation. And that's why parents like me, grandparents like me, are helping financially and helping emotionally and trying to fill in all those gaps, because I know how hard it is. It is hard. My daughters in Albany, Lord have mercy how much money they make, and they still struggle. They still cannot do the things that they want to accomplish because this economy is so horrible. I didn't do that. My generation, Jonesers didn't do that. It was boomer capitalists and Generation Jones capitalists and Gen X capitalists. They're the ones that have destroyed this economy and made it hard for younger people. So it's not fair to blame everybody as to just, pigeonhole, what's the word, stereotype. Don't put us all in one box, okay? There's a lot of boomers that are pretty freaking awesome. So to everybody that says, okay, boomer, you know what I say? Thank you, because your FICA taxes are paying my Social Security, so thank you. But anyway, so this was kind of me just sort of getting stuff off my chest, saying, welcome back, mi público. I will definitely be coming next week. I want to talk about timeshares. We had an experience recently where, oh my God, we weren't going to buy anything, but for a second I was like, oh, this sounds kind of like it might work. But then we started to see the bullshit marketing and the lies. I want to show you what they gave us. We sat down for the meeting thinking we were going to get like a brochure, a voucher for like a dinner. The promises that they made, and it is a scam. So I want to talk about that next week, and then the following week I want to have a conversation about compulsivity. Who are my OCDers? Because I caught myself doing something the other day that I was like, coño, pero tú estás bien tostada. I was like, damn girl, you are out there nuts, because this is not normal behavior. So I want to talk about OCD and invite everybody to join me on next Sunday. Next Sunday is Easter. So we probably, is it, honey? Uh-oh, my producer's not there. Next Sunday is Easter, so I may or may not do it. But it's also our last grandson's, oh, Mateo, it's so cute, his first birthday party. So we are going to, I'll see if I can do it, but if I do it, I'll probably just do a live. But I want to keep doing it because I really want to feel more connected with the people that follow me, and I am grateful for everybody's love and support, especially this last year when I got sick 2 years ago. I am so grateful for the wonderful people who have always come to my shows and been so loving and giving and just, show me so much love. Even if you might have gotten me sick a couple of times, because I didn't wear masks, and I got so sick this February, it wasn't even funny. I was sick for the entire month of February. First the flu, then bronchitis, then laryngitis, and it was bad. So if you see me with a mask on, it's because maybe I'm just a little bit nervous about getting sick again. But trust me, I love and respect everybody who follows me, and I look forward to having more conversations with you in the future. So I hope this is the start of future conversations about the same issue. If there's something that you do want me to discuss about this particular issue with grandparenting and difficult nueros and nueras, let me know. And if you want me to do more in Spanish, also let me know, because I feel like I do have to communicate more in Spanish and in sign language, because my sister, my brother are always telling me that I don't sign enough. So, let me know what you would like me to see me do, and I will do it for you. Thanks for signing on. Thank you for listening. And I got to come up with a good sign off from here on in that talks about what a wonderful Boricua Baby Boom Boom I am, and you can be too.